gloomy day, so we're going with the ring light. Hey friends, Jill here and welcome back to The Market Vibe. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications on our future videos. As some of you might know, 2021 is definitely going to be known as the time of the Great Resignation. There were over 8 million people who quit their jobs to pursue something more because I think the pandemic gave people a lot of time to really think about exactly what they wanted, and they realized they were in a job that they didn't want to be in. And I believe about 30% were going to specifically start their own business. So now with all of these people out in the world who are starting their own business, I have totally been there. I know what it's like to go from employee to employer or to entrepreneur, and it's definitely a tough transition because it really starts with your mindset. You don't realize that you've been trained to think like an employee your entire life. Like literally since you were in school, you've been trained to ask for when you can take a break. You know, you have allotted breaks or bathroom time, you have to ask, and you're in, work for 8 hours a day or whatever. Knowing this, in today's video, I'm gonna teach you guys really how to go from having an employee mindset to a business owner mindset, because that is the most important, crucial step and mindset shift you should take when you start your business. So let's dive in. The first thing to work on this mindset shift journey to being an entrepreneur or a business owner is one, accountability and holding yourself accountable. When you're an employee, you do what you gotta do, you clock in, you clock out, and you're gone. But when you're a business owner and you're in business for yourself, the buck stops with you. So if you want more clients or you want more business, it all comes down to you going out and finding business. So that is definitely a shift that not everyone is prepared for, because you're so used to thinking like, oh, I just show up and I put my stuff on social media and I put my stuff up online and I make money. Well, it's not that easy, especially when you're starting your first business or just starting a business from scratch. You have to be out there constantly. You have to be networking on social media. Just networking in general is just so freaking important. But that's definitely a huge shift, is just knowing that the accountability of like how much money you make comes down to you, which is also a great thing because you can decide how much money you make, or how much money you want to make to be comfortable, or if you want to keep going. You have that power to build that to whatever you want it to be, because it's in your hands, because it's your business. Next is your skill set and expertise. Like I said, when you're an employee, you do one thing, you go in, you clock out, you do what you got to do, and then you're gone. Well, when you're a business owner, you really need to be always continually learning. You need to be studying your market, studying what people like, studying what your competition is doing, learning things like business taxes, learning everything that you can possibly learn, because the more that you learn and you keep learning and growing as an entrepreneur / business owner is the way that your success is going to go. Michael and I are always constantly learning. We're always learning about the market. We're always studying it, but we're also learning from other people. We're developing more skill sets than we had before, because that just makes our business even more valuable. It makes us more valuable. And then if we want to potentially grow and we need to grow in this one area, you can just go and learn and teach yourself, or go get a coach, or go work with someone that can help you get there. But the key thing is having that mindset of always being a student and always learning and always challenging yourself to learn a little bit more about your business and your industry. Next is, there is no such thing as 9 to 5 anymore. This was one thing that definitely I struggled with, Michael certainly struggled with when we became full-time business owners, is your work isn't necessarily in just a 9 to 5 structure every single week. That's how most businesses operate, but when you're a business owner, sometimes you're working longer hours, sometimes you work at night, sometimes you work on weekends. Especially in the beginning, you're gonna notice you're gonna be putting a lot of work in with not a whole lot of income just yet, but the more that you do that, the more that you're really building up that habit, like building up that work ethic, that's when you're gonna start to eventually see income. But when you're first starting out, a lot of it is working without any gain yet. So knowing that, just brace yourself, because you are going to be working probably more, but it's also going to be on your schedule, on your time frame. And if you're a night owl and you want to work at night, you can do that. If you're a morning person and you want to work and get everything done by noon and then have the rest of the day off, you can do that as well. The great thing is that you can build your own schedule. It's just not necessarily every day going to look exactly like a 9 to 5. And another little tip I would say is, if you have an easier day and you don't put in your 8 hours, it's totally okay. day. I used to get into shame spirals thinking like, well, I didn't work a full 8 hours today. And Michael had to be like, well, look, you got this done, you got this done. Like, so you were productive. You just don't have to work 8 hours straight if it doesn't make sense. And statistically, I believe people only work an average of 4 hours a day, like doing actual work. The rest of that 4 hours is spent doing God knows what. For me and my old job, it used to be just pretending that I was working because I would get stuff done so fast, and then I'd have to pretend to be working. So now you really have this time frame where you can be getting your stuff done, and then you can actually be working on your personal growth, or maybe you want to get out of the house and exercise, or maybe you want to learn something new and implement it into your business. The great thing is that it's not going to be a 9 to 5. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to look the way that you want it to look because you now have given yourself a lot more freedom to do so. The next big mindset shift is really action versus results. Like I said, when you're an employee, you're going in, you're doing what you need to do, you're guaranteed, 2 weeks in a paycheck or whatever your pay period is. When you're a business owner, especially when you're starting out, that might not look like that. You might not be paying yourself for a while. You just might be investing back into your business. And this is really where I can truly say that we've had business frustration before. We've totally experienced that, and you're most likely going to experience it as well. We're so trained and conditioned to believe that if I do X, I will get Y, especially when it's a job, 2 weeks in a paycheck, or whatever your pay period is. But honestly, with business, it's so much more different. A lot of times it takes maybe a couple months or a couple years to lay a big foundation that eventually gets you regular sales. And just knowing that and accepting that is something that's going to save you a ton of stress. And like when we started our first business with we were doing screen printed t-shirts, and the first time I went to like a little outdoor show where I was selling our shirts, I sold 10 shirts. That was the first time I had sold anything, and it was amazing. Then I put everything online and I was barely selling shirts. And it took about a year of really consistent like marketing, social media, outreach, networking, outdoor to outdoor events. For the following year on my Black Friday, in one day I sold 40 shirts, which was like a huge feat for me because I was like, oh my gosh, like in one day I sold 40. I think the whole weekend I sold like 120. And just knowing that, it is going to take some time to build that up because you're building something from scratch. You're building something that's brand new that people don't know about yet. So just know that you are going to have to put a lot of action behind it to see the results. But a lot of times it's a lot of work and action on the front end for very, nice results that are more residual on the back end. So knowing that it's worth it, and to just push through that frustration and to just keep doing what you're doing, and just have faith and trust that your people will find you, your customers will find you. You just have to build a big enough foundation for them to find you, and that does take time. And when you think about it, when you're working for a company as an employee and they're able to pay you, every 2 weeks with a paycheck, that means that they've already established a very good foundation and they already have a really good system. This is going to happen for your business too. It's just might not happen yet, but it definitely will. And the last real mindset shift that I think is really important is understanding ownership, and that you are the owner of your company. And I mean, I'll be totally honest, and I'm sure that you can relate to this too. When you're working for someone else, you just show up and do what you got to do, but you don't really push yourself very far. At least I didn't. I did what I needed to do, and then I was like, peace. Because I wasn't vested in the company, it wasn't mine. And I did care about growing the company, but I didn't care so much about it to expend all of my creativity because it wasn't my company and it wasn't for me. And that's why a lot of people talk about, just going clock in, clock out, and then you're gone. Well, when you're a business owner, you definitely have to shift that mindset too, because it's yours. And the more that you grow, the more that your business is going to grow. And since this company is yours, you have to treat it with the love and the care and the attention that it needs to actually see it grow. Because if you don't, nobody else will. Even when you hire people who love your company, who love your brand, they're not gonna love it as much as you. They're not gonna understand the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, that love it as much as you do, that are going to put as much effort into it. So you really have to be the one that sets that tone of the work ethic, the work habit, the passion, and the drive for the business, for it to actually duplicate in with your eventual employees or with your eventual staff. But just knowing that like nobody's going to care about it as much as you, and I know that's the hard truth, you probably will find people who will love the brand, who will be passionate about it. Like the people that we work with, we love their brand and we take care of it as much as we do ours. And you'll find people like that. You'll find people who will be so in love with your message or your product and or the impact that you want to make that they're going to go all in with you. But it's really going to come down to you caring the most about your business over anybody else. And that's everything. So if you really want to work on anything this month, especially if you just started your business, really focus on your mindset. Notice how your mind defaults to employee and how you can change that. Because if you're a business owner, life is going to be so much more different than being an employee, but it's so much more empowering because this is a business that's yours. This is something that you can take full ownership in, and you can drive it as far as you want because you're the person driving. So I hope this inspired you today to really just take care of your mindset and really understand the way that a business owner or a CEO thinks and really start to implement those as much as you can in this new year. So I hope you have found this helpful. If you have any questions about, mindset, being a CEO, a business owner, or you need help with your social media and marketing, feel free to comment below, or you can also reach out to us on Instagram at The Market Vibe, and we're happy to help there. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.